The story begins on an island where a reporter named Sam was taking photos everywhere. We see that all the people Sam photographed were asleep. In fact, 3 days ago, all the inhabitants of the island had mysteriously fallen asleep suddenly, wherever they were, like someone in a swimming pool and another in a bus. But some fortunate ones were in their homes. Additionally, nobody could understand what had transpired with all the individuals, since there wasn't any apparent alteration in them. The sole variation was that moving these dormant individuals from their spot would cause their blood pressure to surge abruptly. Hence, they remained untouched, be it in their vehicles or perched on a tree limb. And doctors arrived to check up on everyone but couldn't understand how all this had happened. The phenomenon didn't affect any of the people who came from outside the island at all. For this reason, all doctors and researchers begin to set up their camps and live there to discover the real cause behind these events. Moreover, no reporter was allowed to enter this island. Yet, Sam had somehow sneaked in. We see him taking a photo inside a bus where many people are sleeping peacefully. Among them, he notices a woman holding a goldfish in her hand. That was the only thing moving there, so Sam takes it with him to talk, feeling his loneliness. It is remarkable that the creatures and fowls of this enclave remained completely untouched. Prior to snapping pictures, Sam goes into a dwelling and notices a girl named Stella slumbering on her bed. He silently exits to let her rest, proceeding to the next chamber. While doing so, he spots a pair of scientists outside the dwelling, observing them stealthily. Indeed, had they discovered Sam's presence, he might have faced retribution. After they left, Sam quietly went to another room and fell asleep. Then, at night, he dreamed of seeing Stella at the grocery store, ignoring him completely. Sam calls out to her by her name, which prompts Stella to ask how he knew her name, just as Sam suddenly wakes up to find it's morning, and then we see Sam listening to the radio, during which he was also talking to the sleeping Stella. Now, Sam gets ready and heads out again to fetch something. Stepping out, he notices a man pleasantly napping in a tree. Subsequently, Sam heads to a church, a place where numerous individuals have congregated. Having taken photographs of the attendees, he finds a spot to sit and unintentionally dozes off, dreaming once more of Stella. They found themselves seated opposite one another, Stella inquiring of Sam if he came here out of greed for money. If so, she tells him to leave at once. To this, Sam explains that he is here not for the money but for the experience, which might assist me in making money down the line. As soon as Sam mentions this, he awakens, returns home silently, and begins to inspect Stella's belongings. Within these items, he discovers Stella's journal filled with her daily musings. Sam delves into the diary, and with each page, he senses a strengthening bond with Stella. In his dream, Stella converses with him much more kindly, prompting Sam to inquire about her experiences during her prolonged slumber. To this, she says that sometimes everything feels completely calm, but sometimes it feels like she's continuously falling into a depth. She tells Sam that she was the last one to fall asleep. Perhaps that's why she was home at that time. First of all, I saw my piano teacher falling asleep. He just fell asleep suddenly in front of the whole class, and after that, this thing took every single person here into its grip. Though it was a dream, in reality, the next day, Sam goes out again. There he spots an automobile brimming with numerous balloons. While he's busy photographing this sight, he sees a pair of scientists perched on the terrace of the building across. Just before they can catch a glimpse of Sam, he conceals himself and makes a hasty retreat back to his dwelling. Understanding the potential for danger if he lingers, Sam promptly gathers his things and departs from the vicinity. But when he gets to the boat by the shore, he finds himself standing there for a long while, deep in thought. He really didn't want to leave Stella behind. Thus, Sam decides to go back so that he can spend more time with Stella. It becomes apparent that Sam had developed feelings for Stella. Whenever he slept, Stella would appear in his dreams to talk to him. And so one day when he falls asleep, he dreams of Stella sitting in front of him. She asks Sam to tell her the real reason why he has come here today. Reluctantly yielding to Stella's insistence, Sam reveals the truth that he came to this island a year ago for a holiday. At that time, he spotted her in a grocery store, and then she went directly to a restaurant where he followed but lacked the courage to speak to her. He was smitten with her at first sight, but they never met again after that. Thus, seizing the opportunity today, he has come for her, wanting to get to know her better. Meanwhile, snapping out of his reverie, Sam heads to the grocery store to pick up some household items, where coincidentally, two researchers also arrive to get some things. One of them notices Sam there, but he pretends to be asleep. After checking, they take what they need and leave. As soon as they depart, Sam grabs what he wants, enjoys himself thoroughly, and then leaves the money for his purchases near the still sleeping cashier before departing. Arriving home, Sam notices that there is also some stuff left in the attic from the attack, so he goes to check it out and comes across a tape recorder. Stella had explained everything about her likes and dislikes very clearly. Upon hearing the first side of the tape, Sam learns that Stella fancies quite a few odd things, like headless Barbie dolls, floating flamingos, and especially the sound of a typewriter, which she adores. Hence, Sam arranges all of Stella's favorite things so that she would wake up to them and be overjoyed. Along with this, Stella would have mentioned her fondness for taking long drives to the beach. Upon hearing this, Sam drifts back into his world of dreams, where he sees Stella ready to go on a long drive with him, for which Stella suggests borrowing a car from a sleeping man. To this, Sam objects that they shouldn't steal, but Stella contends that they're not stealing, merely borrowing the car for a while. Stella's insistence leaves Sam no choice but to relent, and they both sneak into the man's house to take the car keys. During the drive, Sam sees... Shortly after Sam awakens from his slumber, he notices physicians arriving at Stella's residence for her medical examination. They visit regularly for this process, compelling Sam to swiftly conceal himself in a closet. Once the physicians depart, having completed Stella's checkup, Sam steps out, holds Stella's hand, and reclines next to her. He engages in a long conversation with her, and the next day, this discussion takes him up to the attic, where he starts to hear the latter portion of the tape. The tape features Stella revealing her aversions, her sense of isolation standing out. She admits that her dislike for being solitary is strong, despite her usual alone state. Struck by her words, Sam delves into his dreamscapes again to converse with Stella, assuring her that he will always be there for her, suggesting that everyone has a destined companion, and perhaps they're meant to be together. Upon hearing this, Stella responds that she doesn't feel the same way. Here, Sam realizes from her response that perhaps he has been lingering for a frivolous reason. Therefore, he tries once again to leave the place. But yet again, he fails to leave and ends up returning to make and eat the dishes Stella likes. During which, as always, he sees Stella in his dreams, telling him to go away because the Stella he knows from the diary and recorder is quite different from the real Stella. Here, Sam also realizes that Stella is right. While all this was happening in his dreams, the third time Sam tries to leave the place, something happens to him that makes him very thirsty. No matter how much water he drinks, his thirst doesn't quench. Along with this, he feels sleepy, leading him to realize that the effect has started to impact him as well, and he somehow stumbles back into Stella's house, where he falls asleep as soon as he arrives. But the next morning, he wakes up. Here, Sam realized that soon he too would fall into a deep sleep like the people here. So he writes many notes for Stella, and then after a while, he falls into a deep sleep like the others. A few days later, we see some movement in Stella's body. Stella had woken up from sleep with absolutely no energy left in her body, as she had gotten up after a full 3 weeks sleep. Somehow she goes to the tap and drinks water, and then Stella's eyes fall on another toothbrush kept there, and she realizes that someone else is there besides her. Inside the house, she sees her tape recorder, a headless Barbie doll, and a large flamingo. After that, she goes into another room where she sees Sam sleeping. Stella tries a lot to wake him up, but he doesn't wake up. Stella was getting very angry because she had found out that Sam had read her diary and listened to the recordings. She tries very hard to wake up Sam by hitting him. There's no merit in it, and concurrently, Stella discovers the notes Sam penned, offering his apologies for perusing her diary and hearing the tapes. He also expressed to Stella that the only way to mitigate her solitude was to demolish the barriers she erected and welcome others into her life. At this point, Stella comes to the conclusion that Sam, albeit a foreigner, had a deep comprehension of her, prompting her to begin to have feelings for Sam just as he had cared for her previously. Stella sees Sam, with whom she discusses his likes, dislikes and other matters, and then, a few days later, when Stella wakes up one morning, Sam is not where he had slept. Searching for him, Stella heads towards the kitchen and finds Sam there. Meeting each other felt not like a first encounter, but as if they were already well acquainted and were talking deeply. They knew everything about each other. Here, they shake hands and then become completely immersed in each other's conversation. In the final scene of the movie, we see the same woman waking up in the bus, the one who had a goldfish in her hand. Here we notice that she now has not one, but two fish, clearly the handiwork of Sam. Through this, he wanted to convey that like this fish, Stella is no longer alone because now she has him by her side. And with that, the movie comes to an end.